beyond 3D.
Good evening, one and all. Saturday evening in and around the peninsula and streaming live over the internet from RPP 98.7 and 98.3. This is Beyond 3D. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Matt and Clint sitting here in Studio 2, getting ready to enlighten you. All of those of you who are in that light spectrum somewhere between 430 and 770 terahertz, all the one we can see anyway. Hopefully you're all doing well out there. Clint, how have you been?
Enlighten. Oh, what a wonderful word.
You might as well say something like that. Huh? Doesn't really hurt any.
How was your week?
Yeah, pretty good actually. Not bad at all.
Tell me something prominent that happened to you this week.
Prominent? I don't know. I got a Facebook text saying that someone is now an author.
Yeah, okay, we'll pass over that because we're not talking about me. We're not talking...
No.
Look, long story short, I was invited 5 years ago just to pen something, and it saw its way into print last week.
Which is excellent.
Which is excellent because I'd totally forgotten about it.
That's even better.
Yeah, I know. I'd totally forgotten about it. So that happened to me last week.
Well, this week it hasn't been not too eventful, but I just had a nice, easy, relaxing week, basically, and thoroughly enjoyed myself. Ooh, I had some really nice...
Hang on, what does thoroughly enjoyed myself mean?
I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
All right, nothing else.
I had some lovely Japanese whiskeys.
Oh, which kind?
The Japanese kind. No, the Japanese are quite well known for making whiskey. As a matter of fact, they are, in most terms, beating the Scots these days in whiskey production and winning awards with the whiskeys that they make. So I had some Suntory, not a plug.
I was about to ask you, was it Suntory?
Yeah, the Yamazaki. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. So I enjoyed that this weekend.
What's the difference between flavour between those two? The Scots whiskey and the Japanese whiskey.
The Japanese whiskey, in my opinion, is less peaty, more subtle. They, like with everything, very methodical the way they do things, including the fact that probably all of the main master distillers and whiskey mixers, things like that, eat the exact same lunch every single day so their palate won't change, and that's been going on for 20 years plus.
And that's so that they can taste test and not be too far off the variance of what it should
Literally,
taste like?
It does mean that, because what happens is, try it this way, guys. Next time you have a whiskey, you can do something really funny. Have a piece of chocolate beforehand.
Ooh.
And watch what happens. Your palate is totally blown out of proportion. You really can't taste anything. It's really, really weird. It tastes very So what you have to do is you have to make sure you have a clean palate, and that way you can sniff it, smell it, and have a really good time with all the different characters that these things can have. It's a lot of fun.
Look at you go, Matthew Adams, you whiskey.
Well, we like some of those kind of things. Whiskeys, wines, and things like that. We have to have some kind of thing. That's a grounding mechanism, basically.
Aficionado?
Aficionado of sorts. I'm a Philistine, actually. I'm starting to learn about whiskeys.
Oh, you're a Philistine.
A little more into the wines, but they're a grounding mechanism for some.
What's going on in this crazy world at the moment?
Well, there's a lot going on, quite frankly. Most importantly to me, and more than likely to you, something very interesting happened this week.
I love it when you sit here and you say this to me, and we don't talk during the week, so none of this is
not at all
pre-prompted.
Not at all.
But I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
But I will when you say it.
Okay.
Give me a clue.
You might not.
Give me a clue.
Auctions.
No.
Okay.
No, I have no idea.
R2-D2.
I saw that. What a waste of money.
From the original Star Wars
man.
movies.
Seriously, what are you going to do with it? It's going to sit in the corner of your house. And what does it cost? $250,000 or something?
$250,000, that would be cheap.
Well, tell me how much.
$3 million.
Shut up.
$3 million.
No, I saw one that was for about $250,000.
Nope. 3.
No.
And a few others had gone up as well, a.k.a. Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from the first couple of movies. Guess how much?
This isn't eBay, is it?
Nope.
You're talking Sotheby's?
This is an auction house.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
first two films, Luke Skywalker lightsaber, how much?
Is that the one in where he's...
In A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back.
Obi-Wan hands it to him and he looks at it down, like he points it into his eye socket.
Goes, my eye. Yes, no, but he didn't. How much?
I would guesstimate around 800,000.
No, lower.
Okay.
450.
450,000.
450,000.
That's like half the price of a house.
Yeah, basically.
For a movie
Hey,
prop.
in the United States, that is a house.
For a movie prop.
For a movie prop. Now, one more. Darth Vader's helmet from the original movie. Not as much as the lightsaber.
Are you joking? I would have placed more value on that.
Nah, not even close.
2,000.
Oh, come on. For 2,000, I'll buy it.
Do I even sound like I know what any of this stuff should be worth? I'm just pulling numbers out of the air.
Basic. Well, it's what it's worth to someone and how much they're willing to pay.
It's called intrinsic value.
There is no intrinsic value on this.
There is intrinsic value on this stuff because what somebody deems is its worth, that's what it's worth. If someone wants to pay $10 million for Darth Vader's helmet, then Darth Vader's helmet to that person is worth $10 million. I wouldn't pay $10 million for Darth Vader's helmet.
No.
I wouldn't pay...
$96,000.
No, I was trying to come up with a figure. I wouldn't...
Well, that's what it went for.
I wouldn't pay anything over 2,000.
Well, for me, from an old options market maker, and it has no intrinsic value whatsoever. Doesn't exist.
Okay.
It basically has time value on what somebody decides they want to pay. That's all it is. So
But
a little bit of those
isn't
things
that what
going
intrinsic value is?
on. No.
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 Yes.
No.
What
Not
you
as far as options are
what you
concerned.
deem something to be worth is only worth to you. It's not worth that same thing to me.
Yeah. So intrinsic value is what it is worth. Period. And therefore, to me, what did it cost to make it?
Exactly, that's what it's worth.
That would be its intrinsic value.
Thank
so what's
you.
that, about $1.98?
What we're talking about, the lightsaber?
No, we're talking about the helmet or the lightsaber.
Oh,
What
the
did it cost to
lightsaber.
make?
What was the lightsaber? It looked like half a vacuum cleaner handle.
Yeah, basically. So therefore, its intrinsic value is whatever half a vacuum cleaner handle is worth at the
So
time.
whoever made that at the Lucasfilm
Yeah, Industrial Light and Magic, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
would just be killing themselves laughing, realizing that it probably cost about $8 to make an account of spray paint.
Yep, basically. But somebody wants it. And they'll hold it for 10 years and somebody else will buy it for more. Because that's usually the way it works. What are you gonna do? But so a lot of auctions were happening. Guess what? Oh, this was a funny one. You'll love this. The dance floor from Saturday Night Fever.
I'm going to welcome tonight to Beyond 3D. We're supposed to be talking about amazing stuff. And Matt's talking...
Well, it's amazing that
Hang on.
somebody out there is crazy enough to pay
Don't-
$1.2 million for the dance floor.
Shut up! For a piece of floor?
There you go. People are nuts out there, some of them. Either that or they have too much money to even worry about it. And it might be that $1.2 million to them might be $1.98.
I'll pretend to be the floor from Saturday Night Live if they want to pay me $1.2 million and dance on my head.
Oh, well. So what can you do? What can you do? This week was, I said, just a relaxing, nice, easy week. Just did a little bit of astral traveling, that kind of stuff. Nothing big.
Where did you go?
I couldn't tell you the name of the city, but it was a city. How did it feel? It felt like I was meeting up with some people that are working in a different light spectrum.
So you went out and had a little trip.
Yep.
And you met people in the astral plane.
Yep.
That were familiar to you.
They were familiar to me. Soul group kind of thing.
Did
maybe?
you know them when you got there? Or did it feel like
Felt like I knew them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but there was somebody else there, but we won't get into that.
No. Let's get into it.
No.
Okay.
There's somebody that we both know that is working on many different levels, and right now he is a pain in the butt on this one.
Senior Orange.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Because you'd be in jail.
Yaha, 45 Colt.
This dude is working on some different levels, and he's doing the same thing in every damn one of these
This
places.
dude is not what you get on the outside. The arrogant, piggish, oafish,
There's something else.
dim-witted.
There's something else going on
There's
there,
a
big
lot
time.
going on.
Yep.
A different narrative. Yes?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
There's all kinds of stuff going on. So what about you? What about this week? How did it go?
We'll get back to that
Fair enough.
after this break. Beyond
3.
Welcome back this week, everyone, to another edition of Beyond 3D. Matthew,
Yes,
you just asked me what I got up to this week.
I did.
I will tell you what I think. There was two really significant stories.
Okay.
One of them was Anonymous
Uh-huh.
that came out this week and said that NASA has evidence.
Of?
What do you think?
Oh, life in the outers?
Sentient life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Anonymous this week came forward and tried their attempt to blow the whistle on NASA or gazump them a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so the article that was published 3 days ago claims that Anonymous, the global hacking collective, believes that alien life exists and it thinks that NASA is about to confirm it.
If NASA were to confirm any kind of life, in my opinion, it would be microbial. You will, this is the way it would work if, first of all, and a lot of people say this, who cares what government says? If you've had an experience, you've had an experience, but I digress. What will happen, in my opinion, is you will start to see a lot of religious leaders meeting with a lot of heads of state. After a discrete amount of time, they will let things slip. I don't think it'll necessarily come from NASA. I would think it would come more from a religious leader first before it would come from NASA. That's just me.
The Pope?
Could be, yeah. Absolutely.
So the shadowy group made the claim in a 12.5-minute video.
Right.
That is published on an unofficial YouTube channel on Tuesday. So this was Tuesday gone.
Right.
The video centered around recent findings by the American Space Organization, including the discovery of 219 new planet candidates.
Right.
10 of which present similar conditions to Earth.
Right.
By NASA's Kepler Space Telescope team in June, as well as comments made by a senior NASA official in a US government hearing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but why is it, Matt, that we hear every Saturday night talking about what's going on out there, getting people to come onto the show and share their experiences about what's going on out there? And the reality is, the head of the space organization still hasn't released any information on what you talked about being microbial life. Like, we haven't even got that far. Yet the rest of the world knows what's going on, but NASA, the official head of what's supposed to be, according to the government, the mouthpiece for what's happening out in space, aren't being so forthcoming.
I will give you what just popped into my head as a reason. It has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with government and the fact that once people find out that there are other planets with sentient life, some more advanced, some less advanced, what will happen is government will lose its authority. Government will lose its control. Government will now be trying to think of ways to keep the citizenry of this planet from getting on a spaceship and taking off someplace because they might think the pasture is greener or the grass is greener on the other side. And that could lead to a problem.
Yeah, nobody left to pay taxes.
Oh, of course that.
Government can't exist without a population to slave for it.
Well, at least you said it. Everybody knows it deep down inside, but that's exactly what taxes are. Hell, the mob gives you better rates.
You always said that, didn't you?
Always.
Always.
Always. It's just absolutely... Well, look at Australia. It's that time of year again.
Tax time.
Tax time, so everybody will see how much money they've already paid, thinking they're going to get a certain tax return, but then again, the government finds a way to keep a little bit more of it every single year.
So while Anonymous is right to point out, Matt, that NASA is probably closer than ever in human history to discovering extraterrestrial life, it is a big jump to say that there's already concrete evidence for it. I don't like this article. This article tells me that these people that have written this are so frigging clueless.
Yeah. We know from this show, we know from the people we've interviewed that there is life out there. We can, if you want to see what was going on a million years ago, look at Mars. If you want to see what's going on about 500,000 years ago, look at the moon. If you want to look at the dark side of the moon, the back end of the moon, you can see what's going on right now. There's a lot going on out there. Certain things just will never be revealed because what has to happen is government has to maintain control. And when you find out that there are other civilizations out there and there's the possibility that you can, for lack of a better term, go to the Star Trek planet, why would you stay here?
Is that some kind of Federation reference?
Yeah,
like
basically.
a Federation planet? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why bother staying here if that were the case?
Well, that's the thing. You don't know if the grass is greener when you get out there.
Well, there's only one way to really find out.
Imagine if you get out there and you find that we are the equivalent of little people. Like tiny little people. Because life out there is way bigger. you get out there and find out that your size could be used against you.
What, like midgets?
Well, like slave force?
That too.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
what was that? What did happen to you then?
no, I'm just thinking. You think of the if you think of the universe and you think of stars and you think of planets, what you have to think of is this: even in this solar system, what is the ratio of Earth to Sun? How many Earths could fit inside the Sun?
Okay, I couldn't get the price right on R2D2. Mm-hmm. Give me a break.
It gets to the point where you have to look at, if you were to look at a red giant star or something like that, which makes our sun look like the head of a pin.
Yep.
Come on. Mm-hmm. Anything is possible out there. So we're constantly, and this is where, in my opinion, science falls down. They are looking for They are looking to see similarities just like here, but that might not exist.
But the only way you could compare an apple with an apple is if you had another planet that was almost identical to Earth. Mm-hmm. And then you compare the life forms on it.
You could.
You can't compare an apple with an orange.
Yeah, well, I think they're missing. I
Life
think
is
what
life.
they're doing
Fruit is fruit, but an apple isn't an orange.
Yeah, but I think what they're actually doing, and you've known this now for a while. Think of infrared.
Yep.
When you look through an infrared scope, all of a sudden you can see things you did not know were there before.
But are there.
But they're there.
They're there.
You just couldn't see them.
No, that's right.
So based upon that, this solar system could have another Earth planet in it.
Absolutely. In a different light spectrum.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
With human beings just like here.
Slow down, Matt. Mm-hmm. Slow down. That's such radical forward thinking. That's forward. Don't be so forward in your thinking, Matthew. That's just pioneer trailblazing thinking to think stuff like that.
But it's a fact, and everyone out there that knows this, you can look on YouTube. There are guys out there that are using telescopes now and using cameras now that have night vision. You see more. Infrared spectrum, you see so much more. This is the thing that we don't get to see with our physical eyes. But hey, that can change as well with all the different little Borg-like implants that are coming along, including not just new hearing aids and things like that, like the cochlear implants that are made here in Australia, but what they're also doing with eyes, aka bionic eyes, which can see in the infrared spectrum as well as in this light spectrum.
I would like that.
So would I.
I would like that.
You could just go switch and you got infrared on and you can see what's going on. That would be really interesting.
So we're talking about cyber enhancements now. We're talking about the next level beyond Google glasses. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
it would be interesting.
You're getting into that. See, if you want to see in an infrared spectrum, you should tune your body for that, shouldn't you? Not rely on a mechanical device to be implanted into your brain.
That would be a better way of doing it. But then again, we live in the world of instantaneous and the so-called magic pill. People don't want to take 10, 15, 30 years to tune their body to the point where they could actually see in that spectrum. Not going to happen. They'll say, give me the implant. Way it is. Can't get around it.
Well, next year, NASA is going to launch the James Webb Space Telescope, which is an ultra-sensitive device which will be able to look for traces of extraterrestrial life, allegedly, in the universe, should they exist.
This is pointed at the moon.
We'll see, but even if they're looking for biosignatures, that doesn't even provide 100% proof of life. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where they're spitballing their ideas towards. It's kind of like they're working backwards. They have all the information, but the way that they're working backwards to release that information, it's this kind of stuff just doesn't make sense. It's like they've sat down in a think tank and gone, well, what's the next thing we can sort of do to justify the budget that we have, but yet not give the public what they want to hear and just hold off.
Yeah, that's the same thing with computers. And what we're going through right now, we all have flash drives. And if you release a 1 terabyte little flash drive right now, what happens to the 8 gig, 16 gig, 32 gig, 64 gig, etc.?
Done.
Exactly. And you lose all that money because everybody will go for the larger one. So therefore you release it slowly but surely. You have the technology that can get you probably to 5 terabytes, but they're not going to miss out on 4, 3, 2, 1, let alone all the other things in between.
Hang on a minute. We're in the era now of D-Wave quantum computing. You walk into an Apple store now and go and buy like yourself a MacBook Pro or something like that. compared to the D-wave computing, it's obsolete tech
Yeah.
already. But people hand over fist, put money hand over fist for it.
Because the other technology is not accessible to them.
And it won't be for another 20 years either.
Therefore, government has the upper hand, as do certain companies out there that shall remain nameless, at least for now.
At least for now. And we'll be back after this break. Beyond
333D.
Welcome back this week to another edition, Matt, of Beyond 3D.
Indeed.
What are you clicking on?
Oh,
Did
not
you know?
much.
Did you know?
Did I know what?
Astronomers discover an orbiting supermassive black hole for the first time in a distant galaxy.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to let you know.
Okay. Well,
I was just looking. 750 million light years away from the Earth. There's not one, but there's two supermassive black holes. What happens when they collapse on each other?
we won't know for 750
Million years?
years. So we don't have to worry about that right now. That's what would happen. That's the way I look at it anyway.
Would there be a science model for that?
They're just now, there was a TED Talk a couple of weeks, maybe a month ago, and they were talking about the fact that they have not been able to take an actual picture of a black hole, and that they are now using computers and algorithms that can map a black hole, and from that mapping, they can make a picture of what it would look like, but they have not been able to physically take a picture of one at this point in time.
I'd love to know what would happen if two black holes started to collapse in on each other.
Would they repel each other?
Or would they turn each other inside out?
Don't know. We'd have to think about that.
Would they turn each other inside out so our whole universe ends up running backwards?
I don't think so.
Therefore, you're born out of the ground where your ashes come from, or the ocean, wherever your ashes came from, and then form a human body, a really old one, and it starts to...
Oh, the Benjamin Button bit?
Starts the Benjamin Button. Everything you think and do is backwards.
Well, how do we know we're not going backwards in time right now? And by looking back at the 1800s or the 1700s, we're not actually looking back at the future. And we can't remember where we came from.
I'm thinking about it. I'm not ignoring you.
I can understand your pondering.
I'm pondering.
I can understand the pondering.
Everybody else is pondering along at home tonight too.
Oh, there you go. Ponder away. Ponder away. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? Anything is possible. But, yeah, black holes, all kinds of stuff going on out in space. I keep saying it, and I'll keep on saying it, guys. Just stick to your own backyard. There's so much goodies out there just close to us. We don't have to worry about what's 750 million light years away. All we have to do is worry about what's 276,000 miles away.
I'd worry about what's going on down in Antarctica before I worried about anything else.
That as well. But a lot more is going to be revealed on Antarctica, I think, coming up in the next year or so, because they're going to have no choice. Something's going to happen that's going to just leave it out there. And the only way they'll be able to cover it up is if they can somehow get the military to just quarantine the entire area, and no one can get in there to take even a picture. You'll know something is going on when they stop Qantas from having those New Year's flights over Antarctica, so people can take their photos. When they start saying for certain reasons those are canceled, and they'll probably use some kind of reason like weather, something's up.
Watch this December.
Yeah. Because they're already advertising for the flights over the Antarctic. So let's see what happens.
Now, you were talking about things changing and things beginning to change for this domino effect to happen. Something really, really cool happened last week.
Okay.
Do you know anything about the Nazca mummy?
Ooh, I did see that.
What did you see?
I saw this white alabasterish looking covered humanoid type figure that had the number 3 all over it. As in 3 fingers, 3 toes,
yes,
etc., 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 up in a ball like that, and it looked very interesting.
You haven't looked at tonight's banner, have you?
No, I haven't.
No, you haven't. I used it on tonight's banner.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But those fingers and toes, do you reckon about 12 inches at least?
Ooh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very, very, yeah. So they have found something quite interesting.
So back on June the 20th, there was a special report from... There's a gentleman by the name of Jaime Maussan.
Oh, the Mexican...
60 Minutes reporter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he has taken up the mantle to pursue disclosure, being the face of 60 Minutes.
Yep.
Mexico. Okay. I would dare say that one 60 Minutes show in one country would share its resources with another 60 Minutes show in another country. They'd all fall under the same umbrella.
Well, hopefully.
Well, no, they have in the past. Quite often they'll cross promote stories from one. Like we'll find one.
Yep.
From the States, so you'll get a 60 Minutes reporter from the States doing a story. When Jaime starts bringing this to the forefront on 60 Minutes, you will see that domino effect happen around the world very, very slowly, because this body, this white alabaster body that they found with 3 long fingers and 3 long toes cannot be disputed. They've x-rayed it, they've CAT scanned it, they've put it through every possible test whatsoever. It is not a human Homo sapien with a deformity of any kind. It is white alabaster, so it looks like it's been aged, turned to fossilized.
Yep. I'm going to bring up the banner so I can take a look at the photo.
You bring up the banner. So if you have a look on the banner, I mean, like, that was found at Nazca in South America.
Where all the lines are.
Where all the Nazca lines are.
Yep.
So it's the beginning. I mean, we're pulling these things out of the ground and out of caves and out of tombs. Right? This goes back to what we were talking about earlier with NASA. NASA is telling the world, not even yet telling the world, that it's found microbial life. It hasn't. And yet we're pulling up out of South America, out of Nazca, fossilized alien life forms. I don't like the two narratives, Matt. I don't like it. Because people don't need any more bullshit. Okay? They don't need any more bullshit. Don't, your General John Doe looks to NASA for their information.
Yeah.
And if NASA say no, then the average John Doe will swear black and blue that it was no, that there is no alien life. But yet, you got 60-minute reporters pulling fossilized alien bodies out of the ground, out of tombs, out of caves. And NASA's saying there is no life yet, that we haven't found anything yet, or there's no proof of life? Come on.
Look, I think most of our listeners and we know that life exists out there in many different forms. The fact of the matter is, what they're trying to do and what they will always say is they are trying to stave off anarchy, and religion would be questioned, government would be questioned, a lot of things. You have to question your entire history, because you would be proving that the entire history was written to cover up
Yeah, we all know this.
all of this stuff.
We all know this. I mean, they're still finding tombs in Egypt.
Absolutely.
And they'll still find tombs in Egypt when we're long gone. The desert is huge. It's huge.
Well, it's very huge. It's but the fact of the matter is, and we went over this a long time ago, a couple of years back. The fact of the matter is, Egypt, what we see now, the people that are there now are not the people that were there back then. There were 2 Nile rivers, and it was an oasis. It was more like the Amazon jungle than it was like a desert. You can tell that based upon the hieroglyphs.
So what happened?
Pole shift?
Possibly.
But when you look at the hieroglyphs and you look at the way the people are dressed, you do not dress like that in the desert.
No.
At all. You can't do it. So this is what's going on right now. So when you look at this Nazca mummy, and then you look at where it was found, and you look at the Nazca lines from the air, which is the only way you can really see them, you start to get a very interesting picture starts to form, at least in your head. You're saying, wait a minute, what is really going on here? Now, when what the scientists know that most people just don't even think about is, how old is this planet? Billions of years old?
Nobody knows. No, realistically, nobody knows.
So how many times has
God's
this
sakes,
kind
Matthew,
of
some people still think it's flat.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
What are you going to do? Well, how many times...
Push them off it?
Yeah, basically. If we could find the edge. Watch. Some jerk will say, oh, the Earth is flat, and walk right off Niagara Falls and prove it. Most people will understand this. Things are created and destroyed, created and destroyed, created and destroyed. Go to India, you will find that over 5 to 10,000 years ago, probably around 7,000 years ago, there was a nuclear event.
Everything's cyclic.
Yeah. So how many times have we come to this point in evolution to have something wacky happen, or to have a person whose ego was too big that they decided that if they couldn't get what they wanted, they wouldn't allow anyone to get anything, and they blew the place up. A lot of times I think this has happened, but the fact of the matter is the Earth continues. And
Egypt's very much like the internet, isn't it?
Insofar as?
Well, everybody was writing on walls and worshipping cats.
Yeah, well, the cat thing is a little weird because they have that pheromone or whatever they have in them that can actually make you go, ugh. They can control you. I'm not a cat fan, but that's neither here nor there. I'm interested in this mummy because of the fact that it is a stark contrast to everything that was going on in Egypt, where most of the mummies did have the 5 fingers and the 5 toes. But it is not, in my opinion, it makes sense this way. You have this mummy which has basically 3 digits. Homo sapien sapien, 5 digits. The giants out there, the mounds that are found in North America, in Ohio, the mounds that were found in Arizona, in and around the Grand Canyon, the giants, which had 6 digits. There's so much going on that we don't know about, or that has been hidden. There's so many stories out there, and they're talking in these stories about how a lot of the bones of these so-called red-headed giants that the Native American population always talked about warring with, because they were cannibalistic and were taking their women and doing all these kinds of things, and they had to wipe them out. These things were supposedly like Goliath, 12 feet to 20 feet tall in the North American continent. The bones were there, but they were sent to the Smithsonian and they've disappeared.
No. Yes. No.
No, yes, no?
No, yes, no.
Okay.
Yes, they were sent to the Smithsonian. Eventually. Most of them were put overboard and dumped at sea.
Well, you'll never get those again.
No, you'll never get those again. But the Smithsonian does have them, and they're still finding them to this day. They're still digging them out out of the ground.
Now, you're really good with the CGI and everything like that. So
no, God, no, not CGI.
No. You'd be able, I'm saying, you'd be able to look at a photo and tell, okay, that's not photoshopped.
I could... I know what to look for. I could with my naked eye. I'd prefer to do it using the correct software, because I'm using the correct software. I know what to look for.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the whole thing. So the mummy is an interesting little discovery, and I want to see. And now Jaime Maussan.
I wouldn't say mummy, because it's not wrapped in bandages. It is mummified.
It's mummified.
Yes, mummified, but it's not shift its label.
You know, Jaime Maussan, they say in his office he has a lot of interesting artifacts, so to speak.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
And it's, I think what happens, at least in North America, is the fact that he has so many of these amazing finds, they can't dismiss him. So what they do is they don't talk about it at all.
We have to take a break.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's life.
Beyond
3D.
Welcome back tonight to Beyond 3D. Matt, you're talking about Jaime Maussan.
Yeah, you will find that certain things happen, and what will happen is this: if they find some kind of alien or alleged alien life form, and it turns out to be a hoax, they will have Jaime Maussan's name all over the news in North America and the United States. The things that he has in his possession that they cannot refute, or even through testing have found it to be valid, they simply won't talk about it. They will just say nothing because there's no way they can refute.
What about the Atacama humanoid?
Yeah.
We've heard nothing more on that at this point in time.
Yeah. Oh well. It's the old enigma, I guess to put it.
Dr. Greer did get it tested. They did. And if anybody doesn't know what the Atacama humanoid is,
I'll put a picture up there.
Think of a little a little creature, a little humanoid with a teardrop type head, probably about the size of your iPhone.
What was that movie, Gremlins?
Yeah, kind of looked a little bit like
little?
that without the ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the cute one.
No.
The funky one.
They're the funky ones. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I'll get a picture and put it up on the Facebook
Gremlins.
page.
Yeah, because they only become gremlins after
The water hits them or something.
or they eat after midnight, which I never really understood that, because it's always midnight somewhere. So if you had it in Australia and it was midnight, it's not really midnight somewhere else, is it? So how does the gremlin know what the time is? How does its body know what the time is?
Oh, well.
I'll ask Spielberg.
One of these days. But we digress. Back to Mr. Jaime Maussan. He has a lot of interesting subjects that need study. All kinds of chupacabras and
Ooh,
fairies and all kinds of things like that. So I find it fascinating. Other people, from a scientific standpoint, they just can't talk about it. And I've said it a couple of times now. They will just walk away because they can't refute it, and therefore they do not want to give it any more power. They don't want to give it any more traction, so they just walk away from it, and they can't do anything more. The way of the world. But it's up to people like us, and it's up to people that are out there to do research and to allow the rest of the world to see what is going on here. And I've said this before, and I will say it again. So what? There was a humanoid that lived in the past on Earth that came from a certain part of the galaxy and had 3 digits on its hands and on its feet. So what?
It's carbon dated at 245 AD. Between 245 AD and 410 AD. That's still recent.
It's very recent.
It's still very recent. And we were walking around at that time, so it must have interacted with the people from Peru for it to be buried in a tomb.
Ultimately, they'll find out the situation in which it was interred. But it seems to me that the easy way to explain this is that there are other planets out there in the solar system. And just like we can get on a plane and go from Australia and visit Brazil, they can come from wherever they are and visit this plane of existence.
Yeah, but it doesn't take as long as it does for us.
Well, they might have different technology that allows them to bend or fold space.
Do you think that we're
AKA
that...
Frank Herbert.
Yes, Frank Herbert.
In Dune.
Nice reference there, man. What is it? The Kwisatz Haderach?
The Kwisatz Haderach.
The Kwisatz... No, I can't say it. The Kwisatz Haderach. Hang on, I've got it here. I do. I actually do have it here. Look.
And how can this be? For he is the Kwisatz Haderach.
There you go, Dune.
And the Guild Navigators that
The
can
Guild
fold
Navigators folding
space. Planet of Ix. Anyway,
Do you think that we're egotistical now as a species to discredit the possibility of everything we talk about being an actual reality? Do you think the majority of those people who pull the strings know?
I don't think they know everything.
I don't think they know everything too, because it comes down to one of those need-to-know situations, which we've talked about that many times.
Yeah, I don't think they need
Guess
to
what
know
I just
anything.
did?
Snapped a pen.
I snapped another pen. What's wrong with me?
It's one of those things where, okay, let's say you do know all of this information, you have access to all of it. What does it actually do for you?
Creates more questions.
Yeah, but does it give you anything? Can you make money from it? Not necessarily.
Why would you want to?
Oh, please. Some of these people out here, everything is long green. Get
There's
real.
something wrong with me, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so when it comes to that. You got to get them. Everything's about this down here. The money, the money, the money. I'm rubbing my fingers together like
Yeah,
making
I know
the
you're
moolah
rubbing,
symbol.
but that doesn't gel with me.
No, but it doesn't gel with some people.
I
But
can't
with
be
other
bought,
people,
Matthew.
no. With some people, it is the be-all and end-all to their existence. And as we used to say on the floor, they'd sell their mother for a teeny.
What's a teeny?
A 16th. $6.25.
Okay.
And that's the way some people are. But Okay, if you have all of the information, what are you going to do with it? If it is a matter of being able to travel to another plane of existence or planet, and they have some kind of technology or they have some kind of mineral that is not in the periodic tables here and you can bring it back, what are you going to do with it? You can make things and make more money, more stuff.
Hang on.
If it's
No.
Yes.
No. How can you make gold? Can you make gold?
No, I can't make gold.
Then how could you take a material substance from another somewhere else and bring it here and replicate more of it?
It's not about replicating it. It's about taking it here and using it in technology which might enable you to get that much farther than somebody else's technology and make more money.
Okay, I missed that bit. I thought
It's
you were
like
actually
making
talking about reselling.
No. It's about making things.
'Cause that's mining.
This is the whole thing. Yeah, you go out and you can mine an asteroid. And all of a sudden on the asteroid, it has titanium, it has lithium, it has gold, it has platinum, it has palladium, it has all different kinds of iron ores. You got a totally new source from it that you're not pulling it out of the earth. You bring it back here, it has a value.
I knew a guy once who landed on an asteroid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had to blow it up before it.
Is that
made its
Bruce?
way. Yeah, it was Bruce Willis. How did you know? How did you know?
I remember that. I remember that.
And Steve
Do you remember
Bush-
what they said, though, in the movie? When they said they would do it, what did they want?
How about this?
Assault, arrest, resisting arrest. We got a collection agent for the mob. 2 of these guys have done serious time.
Look, they're the best at what they do.
So am I. And I'm not so optimistic. We spend $250 billion a year on defense. And here we are. The fate of the planet is in the hands of a bunch of retards I wouldn't trust with a potato gun.
What they wanted?
Yeah.
Besides everything else, they said, we don't ever want to pay taxes again.
Yes,
Ever.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, one more thing. None of them want to pay taxes again. Ever.
But Bruce didn't make it back.
Oh, well.
So he didn't pay taxes again.
Yeah, well, some of the other guys did make it back, and they just were riding around on the motorcycles.
That was really interesting, that film, Armageddon, because they showed the difficulty of actually landing on a moving object that was spinning that fast. So I don't understand how they'd actually get there with the mining equipment. That's a lot
The
of...
European Space Agency sent that probe that landed on the thing, but it bounced and hit something and went wacky,
That's
but they
a probe.
saw it again.
Have you ever seen an open-cut mine in WA?
No, as a matter of fact.
You've never
I have
seen
not.
a picture of an open-cut mine?
I've seen a picture of it.
You've seen those big
personally.
trucks?
Yes, I have.
Can you imagine how much energy it would take to get that kind of mining equipment up onto an asteroid? And then you'd have to leave it there. Would you not have to leave? You wouldn't come
It
back
wouldn't
with
have to be
you.
as heavy.
No.
It wouldn't have to be as heavy.
But you'd have to leave the equipment there because
of
what
gravity.
you're returning back with are the resources that you're there to claim.
Well, that's what Elon Musk is working on with SpaceX, and the fact that he has the retrievable rockets that can go out into space, get the goodies, and come back and land.
I'm waiting. If Elon wants to impress me, start building magnetic motors, magnetic rockets, magnetic machinery. Let's dump this dinosaur petrol fossil fuel rubbish because you can't get from A to B across the universe using that tech.
No.
So do you reckon the Musk has got the goods?
No, I think what's going on is he's doing what most of the tech heads would do. What I said earlier. You can fit a terabyte of data on the flash drive, but you don't want to miss out on 8, 16, 32, 48, 64, etc. So you're not going to put that tech out yet. There are stages that they have to go through. Now, I also believe that there are other, what we would call black projects that have been developed. And I think they have, for lack of a better term, Stargates. I know they have maglev trains and things like that, so they can use certain tech to do certain things. And even when we use our ancient technology known as iPhone 7s or whatever we use, they use holographic.
Yes.
And we're not even privy to that yet.
Did you not? Was it you or was it me? Because I honestly don't remember.
Okay, say
Was
it.
it you or was it me who posted this week the TR3B footage? That's really bad when neither one of us knows who did it.
I remember seeing it.
I remember seeing it too, but I can't remember if it was you who did it or myself.
I know I put one up. I'm trying to remember. It could have been. I'm not quite sure. There was a couple. There was another one that they showed that was there they were talking about one, I think it was back in the 70s or something like that in Britain, and they were told don't chase it, but it was the same kind of a thing. But this was actually a rectangle.
Okay.
But the one was over France. The TR3BBB. So I'll have to, I think it was me. I think I did put that up.
You think it was you?
Oh, yeah, I think it was over France. I think I put one up.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the best piece of TR3B footage I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I love the part where it implodes, like the light source, circular light source, expands and swallows it whole, and then it just disappears.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Very interesting stuff they have out there. So I'm of the mind, and I know you are as well, that they have certain technology that will not be released yet. It's at least 100 years in advance of what we have now. It cannot be released because I think what you just said earlier would come to fruition. You would not need a lot of the so-called fossil fuels and things along those lines, so that has to remain under wraps for a while.
And we'll be back after this break.
You have some idea of what I could do. Don't try your powers on me. Try looking into that place where you dare not look. You'll find me there staring back at you.
You mustn't speak!
I remember your Gom Jabbar. Now you'll remember mine. I can kill with a word.
And his word shall carry death eternal.
Beyond 3D. Welcome back this week to another edition of Beyond 3D. We're in the home stretch tonight, Matt.
Indeed.
Secret machines.
Nano?
No, secret spelled SEKRET. Machines. That is a book written by Tom DeLonge from Blink-182. And I highly recommend, if you're interested, jump onto Amazon and purchase it, have a read, and then come back to us here at Beyond 3D. Because that book, Matt, Secret Machines, is an amazing place to start in trying to decipher everything we've been talking about tonight.
That means I'm going to have to go out there and possibly buy this.
It's not very expensive.
Still, it's the time. The time to read. Well, it's research. We can consider it research and we can go from there. I don't mind. I've got a lot of reading to do coming up. I was, got a package full of books this week, and they came from Brisbane from Dr. George Dangel.
Oh, nice.
So I have a lot of reading to do this week.
You're not going to have time for Secret Machines. No. Because I know the books that you're getting.
He's got secret machines.
He's got secret. I know he's got secret. I've seen pictures of those secret machines, and they work. And
that's the other thing. And we're talking about light spectrums and everything like that. So a lot of guys had really good feedback on Dr. George's show and what he was talking about, and the proof is in the pudding. So I'll put the link to his website up again this week, and you guys can check it out because it's really interesting, the stuff that he's working on. And it's, in a sense, he's laying the groundwork. He is laying the groundwork for what we ultimately are talking about here. He's actually creating certain machines that can help the physical frame, the physical body, get to a point where it can see in the infrared spectrum.
And possibly find something that has in common with these names I'm about to mention.
Okay.
Mark Zuckerberg. George W. Bush. Donald Rumsfeld. Simon Cowell. What is it that you think that those people all have in common at this point in time? I love the fact you're writing these names down, Matt.
I'm trying to see if I can...
Has something to do with the light spectrum that you were talking about.
Really?
Yeah.
Nope. What is it? The light spectrum.
When Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg hosted a live stream Q&A earlier this week,
right,
he was probably expecting questions about emerging technology that's coming through that maybe Facebook might take on.
Right.
No, he wasn't asked those kind of questions. Somebody asked him whether or not he was a shape-shifting alien reptile.
Wow.
And
so you're saying all of these people are...
Well, the question was put to him, Mark, are the allegations true that you're secretly a lizard? Which Zuckerberg read aloud to the auditorium before replying in the negative and declaring the question was very silly.
Fair enough.
Very silly. And you know what? If he's a normal human being, that's a normal response. Because you're there to impart some kind of information onto everybody. But let's play devil's advocate. What if some of those people I just mentioned who are all allegedly accused of being that are? And what better way to hide it by saying that was a silly question and just brushing it off?
Well, don't know.
See, those people I mentioned, they've all faced similar accusations in recent years for being that. And as unlikely as most of those people seem to be of the reptoid descent, the internet kind of latches onto it and makes it look so silly that the truth can be hidden in a joke. Because did not Adele at the start of this year do a concert and somebody walked in on her? And she was in the middle of mid-transformation.
Something in New Zealand, actually.
In New Zealand, yeah.
That was stated as well. Who knows? Was a statement ever released from Adele's people for that? Not after. I just think everybody just let it go.
Because it sounded ridiculous.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
George W. Bush, if he was a dumb one. Rumsfeld.
We're talking both senior and junior.
Well, Rumsfeld.
I'm just telling you.
Simon Cowell?
I'm just telling you from this article, Matt. I don't believe in any of it. I'm telling you from this article. Well, when I say I don't believe in it, I'm imparting. We're sharing. That's all we do here. We present and share.
Okay, we'll find it. Well, fine. We'll play devil's advocate. If it were the case, basically, once again, it's just control mechanisms. It's a group or a species that is down here trying to control humanity, per se. That's the inference, at least, from something like this. What do you do? If it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it'll start to become a big deal when we finally break free of, as you said earlier, fossil fuels and start actually moving out into this galaxy before into the universe.
What's your contingency plan?
Contingency plan?
Your backup plan. You gotta have some kind of backup plan, right?
No, we don't have a backup plan. This is it.
And this is the best that you could, that the government, the U.S. government can come up with? I mean, you're NASA, for crying out loud. You put a man on the moon. You're geniuses. You're the guys that think his shit up. I'm sure you got a team of men sitting around somewhere right now just thinking shit up and somebody backing them up. You telling me you don't have a backup plan? That these 8 Boy Scouts right here, that is the world's hope? That's what you're telling me?
Well, see, and NASA, again, in control of the M drive, which can make that happen. But, as we all know, that kind of tech is old. It's old tech, and it's not even released yet, and it's already old tech. It sounds insane when I say that to you. I'm telling you, the M drive is old technology, and mainstream doesn't even know about it yet.
It does, but it does. That's irrelevant insofar as this.
It me off.
Shouldn't. Here's why. Every single human being on this planet, every single soul, every single spirit has the ability right now to sit in their bedroom, to sit on a chair, and to meditate. And if you learn how to control it over the tens of years and the 20 of years and the 30 years, you can astral travel and go to these places and see exactly what is going on. So you can travel this universe and still be here at the same time. You can control it. Therefore, why bother with an M drive if you can just sit in your living room and go?
I'll tell you why. Because what you're talking about is a solo adventure.
Yeah.
Okay? If you have an M drive, you can take people with you and experience it as a collective.
Or they can all meditate together and they can experience it as a collective.
Can you meditate together, experience something as a collective, and go somewhere as a collective? And that everybody has that experience together?
Based upon the possibilities that are existing in this universe, in this light spectrum, and in the frequencies we are in, I would say you could. I would say it would take a long time, and it would take a lot of work on the behalf of each of those individual beings. But yes, I think it is possible.
You would have thought that yogis would be able to do that. Like a yogi excursion.
Well, if you want to look at it that way, and we are all part of the one, you don't have to worry about it, do you? Because you can meet all the gang out. I'm telling you, you meet all the gang out there. It's really interesting. But That would have to be another discussion.
M drives, Stargates, fossil fuel.
I believe in the Stargate, not just the TV show.
I've seen quite a bit on Stargates this week. I cannot believe we've got 30 seconds left tonight. And I'm just bringing this up now.
Well, then let's bring it up next week, because I think it needs a little bit more than 20 now seconds.
And that's all we have time for this week, Matt.
Guys, take really good care of yourselves. Remember, the Facebook page is up there. We will get in contact with you that way. Get in contact with us as well if you have any questions or queries. Use it, because we can answer you that vehicle. The website should be up and running sooner than later.
Shall I say it?
Yeah.
I'm hoping in the next week.
There you go.
I'm hoping in the next week. I've been calling this now for how long?
A long time, but still. If it's up, it's up, and that'd be really fantastic. So
it's a lot of work.
Of course it is. That's the whole point. It takes time. You want to do it right, so we can't... Yeah, you could throw something up willy-nilly, but it'll be schlock.
Come on, I'm hungry.
You hungry? Me too. It's dinner time. Late dinner, anyway. Guys, take great care of yourselves. We will catch you next week for another edition of Beyond 3D.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
A beginning is a very delicate time. Know then that it is the year 10,191. The known universe is ruled by the Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV, my father. In this time, the most precious substance in the universe is the spice melange. The spice extends life. The spice expands consciousness. The spice is vital to space travel. The Spacing Guild and its navigators, who the spice has mutated over 4,000 years, use the orange spice gas, which gives them the ability to fold space. That is, travel to any part of the universe without moving. Oh yes, I forgot to tell you. The spice exists on only one planet in the entire universe. A desolate, dry planet with vast deserts. Hidden away within the rocks of these deserts are a people known as the Fremen, who have long held a prophecy that a man would come, a Messiah, who would lead them to true freedom. The planet is Arrakis, also known as Dune.
Just because you haven't experienced it, doesn't mean it doesn't exist.